There are a lot fewer two-parent families.
What's worth more, $1 today or $1 tomorrow?
Almost nobody gets out of love alive.
Prisoners' rights is out of sight, out of mind.
Is your brain on God?
You ain't ready to oppose.
There are discussions
how
as
they thought
black families have to have them.
What's worth more, $1 today or $1 tomorrow? What's worth more, $1
Welcome, folks, to your Reality Gurus, the show where we take the commonsensical approach to issues through complex conversation. I am your host, Cleve, and I'm here with my man, my brother, D. What's up, brother? Say hi to the people.
What's up, people? How you doing today, man?
You're good. I'm good, brother. How about yourself, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You know, it's the morning. Getting things together.
Yeah, got you. Yeah, just put a little workout in, man, and was excited about this particular show. Colin Kaepernick, right. NFL, boycott. Real big thing going on now. Social media is hot right now since the NFL season has actually started, and seeing a lot of people upset because apparently there are a lot of black people who are still watching the NFL. If you don't know what I'm talking about, take a look at this clip.
Overnight, San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick refusing to stand during the national anthem again. This time, he took a knee right behind hundreds of service members being honored on Military Appreciation Night. Now the quarterback sparking new controversy for wearing these socks, showing police officers as pigs.
Ultimately, it's to bring awareness and make people, realize what's really going on in this country. There are a lot of things that are going on that are unjust, people aren't being held accountable for, and that's something that needs to change.
The San Francisco quarterback, I'm sure nobody ever heard of it. There was an article today, it was reported, that NFL owners don't want to pick him up because they don't want to get a nasty tweet from Donald Trump.
I want to get your thoughts on Colin Kaepernick, both of you. Do you think he's being blackballed by the NFL when we're hearing Blaine Gabbert getting a contract?
This is exactly why I am telling you I am boycotting the NFL. I'm not going to tell anybody else what to do. I'm not going to tell them why or what they have to do or what's right or what's wrong. Because I believe that regardless of their prestations, regardless of what they're saying, that it is race all through it.
So now that we got through that, before I go ahead and say what I have to say, Dane, let me just ask you a question. As far as the boycott is concerned, is that something that you're in favor of, against? Let me just get that out of the way first before I get into what it is that I was going to say.
As far as being for and against, I mean, there's a bigger thing there. Like any boycott, no boycott is big by itself. You need other stuff to do a boycott. With this specific issue, though, honestly, I've seen no personal dog in that fight for me. You know what I mean? Mainly because it doesn't change what originally Kaepernick was trying to do, right? Which was to bring light to black men being killed by police, right? This injustice that was actually happening, and he supposedly, got treated unfair because of it, according to people's opinions. And I can understand that. At the same time, it does not really reflect on the issue itself. Now you're actually taken away from the issue. So when it comes to that, do what you do, but I really don't think it's going to matter as much. You know what I mean? Especially with some places as big as the NFL. You know what I mean? Okay.
All right. So I understand where you are right now. Let me just go ahead and tell you where I am. I am not in support of boycotting the NFL for these reasons. There may be reasons that I would be in favor of a boycott of the NFL, but this one, the way that this one is structured, this is not it. Let me go ahead and get into that. So first off, Colin Kaepernick goes ahead and he decides that he's no longer going to stand for the national anthem during games, right? Okay. And the reason behind it, of course, as we all should know, because of the treatment of black men, the killings of these black men who were either unarmed or licensed to carry firearms, ending up dead doing traffic stops and things of that nature, right? Okay. All right. All right. I'm all for that. I'm all for that particular cause. I want to understand, how does boycotting the NFL tie into that? All right. So what I've been hearing is what? He's been blackballed. How do you know that? For absolute certainty that he's being blackballed because of him taking a knee and not standing for the national anthem. How do you know that for sure? Unequivocally. How do you know that for sure, that that's the reason why? A lot of these people, especially the ones that I see on social media, a lot of these cats don't even watch football, right? Have really no concept of football outside of what they hear from people and maybe what they see on commercials, maybe Sports Center, whatever, but don't really understand football. And I'm not talking about the game. I'm not talking about actually playing the game. I'm talking about maybe like the economics of it, the business behind it. What goes on into putting together a team to attempt to try to win a championship. All that stuff that goes on behind the scenes. I guarantee you 99% of the people that I hear running around here saying boycott the NFL because of these reasons have no idea about that part of it. So let me give you a little insight.
Yeah, because to be honest with you, I think a lot of people don't know how the game works regardless. Even I would argue even some of the people that actually watch football probably don't know. So it's probably good to give that information.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. So first off, let's just say being a professional athlete in and of itself is one of the hardest things to do. One of the hardest things to accomplish. When you think about how many young kids are actually being groomed and pushed into sports, the amount of kids versus the amount that actually go professional in any sport, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever, all right? It's a very small percentage, very small percentage. So I'm bringing it up to say this. If you are a scout, a GM, a coach, anybody who's involved with an NFL team, an NBA team, any kind of professional team, right? It's a hard enough job to try to figure out how to put together the pieces you need to win a championship, right? It's hard enough. The one thing that coaches and teams, staff don't want is, and also our players, they don't want to see distractions in the locker room. Distractions of really any kind. It doesn't have to be something like this on this magnitude. It's distractions of any kind. It's hard enough to put together a team to win a championship. So why would you want to complicate it by bringing a situation in that will cause a distraction? That's the number one thing I'm bringing up. I'm bringing that up first. Because if I can bring that up and get other people to look at this particular perspective, is it not reasonable to believe that the distraction is more of the reason why they don't want Colin Kaepernick, as opposed to the fact that he's kneeling for civil because of the rights of black people and the way they're being treated in the United States? This is the thing about us that bothers me, that we grab on the sound bites, we grab onto visual, and we don't analyze, we don't inspect, we don't research, we don't do anything like that. We just jump on a wave and we just continue moving, whether we understand what's going on or not. We jump on this wave and we just continue to move and we ride it. And a lot of times these people have no idea what they're supporting or why they're supporting. No idea whatsoever. I'm sorry. I'm going to go really in.
No, it's fine.
So what I want to do,
you know what,
it looked like you was about to say something. So let me go ahead and pause.
Yeah, I want to ask a question. I do want to ask a question, but good, do what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you said you want to pause.
Just not knowing for sure what the motive is behind not picking up Colin Kaepernick, not knowing for sure, is the reason why I wanted to do my own independent research. I wanted to analyze the situation before I even made it. I formulated an opinion on how I felt about a boycott or even a situation as a whole. I wanted to go ahead and do my own independent research. And like I said, this is about common sense. I always want to take a commonsensical approach to something, right? And this is what I had come up with. I had come up with that one in particular. I am not saying that Colin Kaepernick taking a knee for the cause is an issue, he has the right to do whatever the hell he wants. I have no problem with that. I'll say it again. No, he has the God-given right to do whatever he wants with regard to what he wants to support. You got what I'm saying? That's not where my issue lies. It lies with boycotting the NFL because he doesn't have a job. When you have no idea why he doesn't have a job. Yes, 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions last year. I think about 2,400 yards passing and about 400 yards or so rushing. Yeah, he did very well. He did. On a very terrible team, the San Francisco 49ers. There are some quarterbacks out there who have been picked up who didn't put up the stats that he put up last year. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about stats here. Well, at least I'm not. And I don't think it's all about stats. You got to understand what a distraction does to a locker room. What that kind of a distraction does to a locker room, especially a locker room that's diverse. So now if you have a locker room that's not full of all black people, right? What happens to the other individuals? Are they not alienated? Let's say everybody in the locker room who was black is believing that the route that Colin Kaepernick is going is we all need to do this. So what happens to the other players in the locker room? What happens to them? Are they forced to support because they are the minority or what? And I'm only bringing this up to say, is it reasonable to believe that a general manager, coach doesn't want to have to go through those problems? It's hard enough to build a championship team in any professional sport. Why would you want to complicate it by bringing in a distraction?
I mean, you know, I think it's highly reasonable, and you know, this is me not really knowing the game of football too much. I definitely see your point. I think you know, and this is maybe bigger, and I know the example I'm going to use is a whole lot of differences for the fact this is a team sport, for the fact of, you know, you have a physical act being caused right now as far as the boycott. Even this idea of Cosby, when Cosby was going through a situation with the trial, and the outlook became more about a lot of the attack that is being put on Bill Cosby because he's black, compared to the actual acts or anything else that is actually being done. It's like, okay, this is a black man, but when you have Woody Allen, who, you know, pretty much created a statutory rape, you know, there was differences in the outlook of it. And I'm thinking that's like the same mentality that's kind of leaking into this idea of Colin Kaepernick, right? This man who stood up for something, and now, you know, all of a sudden, you know, he's seemingly being ousted from, you know, the NFL because he's being outspoken. So I think a lot of that is more about imagery. It's not even. I don't think it's a logical or a rational look being looked at. It's looked at the image of the black male, and when somebody speaks up or you know, the treatment of America on black males, that's going more into this you know, boycott than anything else. Quite frankly.
Well, that's that was pretty interesting how you with the Woody Allen thing, because honestly, and the Bill Cosby situation, that probably would have been something I wanted to talk about.
We still can.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll reserve that for another show. But let me ask you this question, brother. And this is, I'm gonna ask you as if you were one of the individuals who was supporting the boycott of the NFL because of these reasons, because Colin Kaepernick does not have a job, right? Okay, so say you are a mother of a 19-year-old football player. He's in college, say Notre Dame, for instance, or whatever. He's in Notre Dame, and it's 2017 NFL draft is coming up. He was good enough to enter, and let's say he is picked up by the New York Giants, whoever. Now it's about time for him to get ready to sign his contract. Say it's $1 million or something like that. And then right after that, or right around that particular time, everything about the Colin Kaepernick and the boycott and stuff is out there. So now you're a black mother. This is your black son, 19 years old or 20. Obviously, like I said before, to be a professional athlete, to make it to that level, you have to be, and I'm talking about just to make it to the practice squad. The practice squad, you got to be good. I mean, more than good, just to make it to the practice squad. Okay, so now he's gotten to the point where he is going to surpass the practice squad. He's going to get an offer of a contract of $1 million. And with all of this stuff looming, what do you advise him to do? Do you tell him not to sign the contract because he'd be considered a sellout? Do you tell him not to sign the contract because he won't be able to hold his head high? Do you tell him not to sign the contract because of this boycott and he needs to support this situation here? Is that something that you do? I'm asking you as if you were someone who was boycotting the NFL because of these reasons and then had a son who had an opportunity to get his contract for $1 million to play the sport that he's been training for his entire life.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden he's supposed to just say, yeah, I'm not going to sign this because I have to support the boycott of the NFL because this guy over here doesn't have a job. Understand something, people. I'm not talking about boycotting the NFL because of police officers killing unarmed and legally armed black men. I'm talking about the reason why the boycott is going on now, because Colin Kaepernick doesn't have a job. Do you tell your son not to sign that contract? That's all I want to know. What would you do?
I mean, you're asking me to put myself in an image that's against my sensibility. But
okay,
but no. Look, this is what I'm gonna say because it made me think about something I just watched a while back about concussions in the NFL, and this was mainly through the view of the medical team that started finding the evidence between concussions and a lot of the issues with players after they leave, like the domestic violence and death and depression.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I remember, the lady herself, who spearheaded the original campaign to bring light to the idea of concussions, she was a huge football fan.
Mm-hmm.
Still is. Like her family's into football and everything else. And they actually asked her a question. Knowing what you know now about concussions, would you let your child still play at a young age? She was like, and they gave her a specific age, like around 9 or so. And she was like, at 9, no. Then they said, what about older? And she was like, that's kind of a harder question for me to ask.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it's kind of an institution. It's kind of, and me being from in the South right now, me being in Georgia, seeing how big sports is, seeing how much parents actually put their kids into it. I don't think a lot of people say yes. If I was in that same mentality, I think it would be harder for me to actually say that I would tell my child not to sign. You know what I mean? Where this is part of America. This is part of, like, even though you said it's a small pool of people that actually make it, this is, you see it everywhere, every Sunday, every Thursday. Like this is, you watch college football, like it's embedded in our idea of America is football, right? And that is one of the steps that we see as especially as Black people as a way to move up into wealth or a different kind of status. So I if it was me, I probably would have my kids sign if that was me on that aspect.
Well, let's say it this way. You're not alone, Dane. And even if the whole idea of the boycott, you're not really, and you're putting yourself, I'm putting you in a position to try to answer as if you were someone supporting the boycott. I promise you that the majority of people that are talking what they're talking now, given that situation, would not tell their kid not to sign. And then this is where I start looking at people and I start slinging this word, hypocrite. The thing about us that really pisses me off is like we be picking and choosing which issues we want to take a stand on and we want to support. Even if it falls under the same umbrella, we pick and choose which. So all right, so why this one? Last time I checked, honestly. Well, so last time I checked, honestly, I don't know. I have to actually do that. I should have done that. I don't know what Colin Kaepernick's net worth is. I don't know, but I guarantee you this: that if he never played another down in football again, he'd be fine financially.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he was. I mean, like I actually do follow him on Twitter, and he donates a lot. He's a hell of a philanthropist. I think I said it right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so he he has his definitely has some money somewhere. He definitely has a good funding. Yeah, you know what? And I just want to state this because I feel like we might be winding down a little bit. But I think honestly, when you say about us picking our fights, I think that's true. I think we pick a fight that has more of a clear target, right? Like the fact is, so we take it back a little bit and take it outside, and hopefully I'll bring it back. Is that when you think about the idea of Dylan Roof and the people shot up, it became an idea of the Confederate flag, right? The recent incident with the Confederate General statue that became a thing too, because that's a target. Now that we have somebody like Colin Kaepernick, who you have this image of what's going on, you have a clear target, which is the NFL. You know what I mean? Instead of the actual bigger thing, because that is probably something you're gonna have to fight more systematically. If you actually really want to fight against the abuses being done by black men too, by a lot of police officers, then that's a much bigger fight. And they're not saying that there's not people fighting it, because of course they are, but the majority of people is because now you have this bigger aim, because NFL is out there, because you have Colin Kaepernick, which goes to another bigger issue, which I always feel like people, I don't think he's ever put himself out there as a leader. I think some people think that since he took the effort to go on his knees, go against it, and take the blunt of all this criticism, and to go through a situation that he does now, a lot of people are maybe symbolically seeing him as something that they could put it behind, put their efforts behind, as far as him being treated. Because I don't even think he's been outspoken about the boycott and all that stuff, because I've never seen it. So these are people taking charge themselves, and now using this image of this person, who I think he's a good person. I think he means what he actually did originally, because it took a lot of effort. But now you're creating something else. Now you're creating this I don't want to say myth, but you're creating this other air of righteousness that is completely separate from what needs to be done. And I think that's something that people need to reflect on. Like, you really need to reflect on, if you really want to get rid of whatever injustice that you feel needs to be get rid of, then you need to really to start formulating a more clearer plan, and something that is not just symbolic, as all the things I mentioned before.
Well, so let me say this then, because I know people are wondering. For anybody who does not know me personally, I am a huge Dallas Cowboy fan. Huge Dallas Cowboy fan. Have been since like the second grade. All right. So I'm putting that out there because I know some people might think that there's a little bit of biasness. Like, this guy loves football, so how in the world could we listen to what the hell he's talking about with regard to a boycott? Well, let me do this then. Remember earlier I said that there might be some reasons that, or might be some causes that I'd be willing to support as far as a boycott of the NFL. Let me give you one that makes sense to me. So you see, I'm here with the blue headband, the orange. I got my New York Knicks colors on, right? Because I'm also a big New York Knicks fan. Basketball. If people didn't know, basketball players' contracts are guaranteed, which means that if they come to work, prepared to play, no injuries, it's prepared to play, they're going to get paid. Coach can sit them out on the bench and have them in street clothes for the whole season, but they're going to continue to get paid because they came to work prepared to play, right? Football, on the other hand, is completely different. Contracts are not guaranteed. This is the reason why you see a lot of these players with their agents, when it comes time to negotiating, they're focused more on the guaranteed money, because contracts in and of itself are not guaranteed. So you'll see, for instance, you'll see just recently Matthew Stafford of the Detroit Lions received, he is now the richest quarterback, highest paid quarterback in the NFL. I can't recall exactly what his guaranteed money was, but it's probably around, I don't know, $60 million or something like that. For a contract, they may be worth like 120. You see what I'm saying? Like half of it guaranteed, and the other half not. So as long as he's out there playing, he's gonna get the 60 million, which is guaranteed, and continue to get the rest of his contract. If in the event that he gets injured and he can no longer perform, the team can get rid of him. And they won't get the rest of the contract. They won't get the rest of that money. If you want to boycott the NFL about something, boycott that. Because I'm not going to say that the NBA players don't deserve guaranteed contracts, or any, whether it be baseball, hockey, or whatever. Like I said, I'm not going to say no players, none of these professionals should receive their guaranteed contracts. But when you start thinking about, you brought up concussions, when you start thinking about the wear and tear on your bodies, when you're comparing these sports, I kind of think that basketball players take less punishment than football players do.
I mean,
but their contracts are not guaranteed. I know a partner of mine, I'm not gonna say his name, but you know, he played football at Georgia Tech. Did 4 years, graduated, and then he was drafted by an NFL team, Jacksonville Jaguars. Very good player, from what I understand. Obviously, because he was drafted into the NFL, like I said, you gotta be a great player in order to make it to that league. First of all, that level. In a preseason game, he injured himself. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was an ACL. In a preseason game, and that was it. Whatever little bit of money that he received up front, that was it. That was it. His career was over. Had that have been him in an NBA team, he had signed a contract for a few years or whatever, he'd have been able to nurse his leg and come back. And if he could play, cool, great. And if he couldn't, so be it. His career is over, but he's still getting all that money. That does not happen in football. Y'all want to boycott something? Y'all boycott that shit. Y'all boycott that shit. Boycott the NFL for that shit. The collective bargaining agreement, from what I understand, hasn't been as successful as what is his name? The president, DeMaurice, what the hell is his damn name? It slips for a minute. I'm sorry, folks. The president of the NFL Players Association. Apparently, his position is coming up next year, and people are concerned that he's going to lose his job because of what's been going on over this last. I think the collective bargaining agreement was for 10 years. It was for 10 years, and I think we're 8 years into it, 7 years into it. About 7 or 8 years into the collective bargaining agreement, and the players are not feeling like they feel like they got a raw deal. They feel like the owners are receiving more of the pie than they are. But I ask you this, and like, what system do the, say, employees make more than the owners? And no system. So first of all, that's kind of unreasonable. But I think they do have a point when it comes to the contracts and the amount of the contracts. Given the amount of punishment that these guys take every Sunday, Monday, and now Thursday, y'all want to boycott some shit, y'all boycott that. Y'all boycott to see that the 75% of the NFL, these black players are here. These guys are out there putting their bodies on the line Sunday, Monday, Thursday. And if they get hurt, it's a possibility that their contract, or let's say they won't get the rest of their money on their contract. That's a travesty. So not only are you injured, you cannot play the sport that you have been training for your whole life anymore. Now you have to figure out something else to do with your life. And it happened sooner than you expected. We're not talking about a guy getting here 10 years in the NFL, making some money, grabbing that money, opening up a business. No, that may have been your intent when you first came in here, but now you're injured and you can't even get paid for it. So this is why you see a lot of these professional athletes, the ones that go through that situation, the ones you never really hear about. They call them, what do they call them? Like say for instance, they go and they do coaching at high schools and things like that. Players at that level, that early in their careers. They call them white elephants because you don't usually see players of that caliber out, at that level in high school, doing football and things of that nature. But I mean, this is what they have to do. What they have to live a normal life now. Well earlier than they expected. While their counterparts over here in the NBA or in the MLB, baseball, or in the NHL, they have a different situation and their contracts are a whole lot bigger. A whole lot bigger. Y'all want to boycott some shit, man. Y'all boycott that, man. Boycott that. Make sure that the players in the NFL, the ones that put their bodies on the line Sunday, Monday, Thursday, off seasons, the ones that get hit and got a little bit of an injury, season-ending injury or career-ending injury, and then now they completely have no nest egg if they didn't, do well with their money prior to that. But in the case of my man, he got hurt in preseason, so he didn't even have any time to say anything. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all boycott that shit. Who you boycotting the NFL behind this guy not having a job? And you don't even know why he doesn't have a job. You're assuming based on the racial component of this situation here. This is something right now the NFL could do. They could do at their next collective bargaining agreement. Set up some sort of a situation where the money, the pie, is split up a little better. If not a guaranteed contract, more of the lesser elite players have more stability in the contract. So they don't have to worry about every Sunday and Monday and Thursday when they go out there to play. If they get injured, man, they got to worry about, are they going to be able to keep their house or feed their family? NBA players don't worry about that. MLB players don't worry about that. They don't have those problems. They don't have those problems. Folks, man, y'all got to get clear on what it is that y'all going to follow. And if you're not going to take the time to analyze the situation and figure out, do your research so you can formulate an opinion based on the facts, based on all the information, man, just don't comment at all, man. Don't comment at all, because I hate seeing stuff like that. I hate seeing stuff like that. But I know I'm rambling and stuff. I'm rambling.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean, that you need to get it out, son.
It like I said, they came for me yesterday.
Right, and that's kind of where I was headed with it. I mean, regardless of whatever you feel about it, like even if you get an informed opinion, even if you decide to keep with your emotions and keep with the boycott, because somebody else is has a difference of opinion, and I think this is a big argument all around. Like we have to be able to work with our differences if because I know one of the things that you said that you got called a coon, I guess, automatically because of that.
Well, I mean, they didn't label me. Well, that wasn't the term. They didn't call me a coon, but okay. I asked the question, and the response was more of, the question was basically, what will we have in what's the boycott about? That's the question I asked. What are we boycotting? I asked a couple of people this question, and one of the responses I had got in this one particular post went straight to the issues with the black men being killed by the police, unarmed or armed, licensed to be armed or whatever. And I said, okay, I understand that, but this is where I think they're getting confused. They're mixing the two, like you're meshing this situation with this one, and they don't belong together. The NFL is not actually killing nobody. So tell me the boycott is for him not having a job, right? Say the boycott is for him not having a job. But why are you mentioning the killing of these? Why are you doing that? It has nothing to do with this. And if it does, you don't know for sure. But the example that I just gave him about the guaranteed contracts, that shit right there, we all know about that. And that's clear. Anybody who follows football knows that the contracts are not guaranteed. And when I look at the kind of punishment that, all of them, all positions are subject to, it just doesn't make any sense when you think about other professional sports and stuff. So if they want to boycott something, man, boycott something like that. That right there would be something worth boycotting. And then all right, so here, let me ask this then. What do you say about the players? What do you say about the black players that are going out there every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday? What do you say about them? Are they coons? Are they sellouts? This is what these guys do for a living. This is their career. I like doing the analogies, right? I love to do those. So I mean, let's just put yourself in that position. And we ain't talking about no job when you're making no millions of dollars neither. We talking about you working at Kenny Shoes or something. Even over there, I know that there's people that are subjected to issues and jobs where they need to call EEO and all this other stuff, and they don't. They ain't boycotting their job or nothing. This is how you feed your family, correct? But if you're going to stand on principle, why are you not doing it in your own life? You're going to boycott the NFL behind the fact that Colin Kaepernick doesn't have a job. And trust me, if he never plays another down, he wouldn't have to worry about a dime if he's good about his money, which I get the feeling that he is. And then on the outside, this is the part that I didn't get into that you touched on, is philanthropy. So outside of the NFL and this boycott, he's doing something productive. A not-for-profit organization? What are these people on Facebook talking about boycott, right? And standing in judgment of others who are watching the NFL. What are you doing outside of this? Behind this boycott, what are you doing for black people? If you're going to come for me, make sure you know my background. Make sure you know what I'm doing. Because if I'm watching the NFL and I explain to you why I'm watching it, why I think that the boycott is not something I need to support, because if you're going to come for me, make sure you know the background. But I tell you what, man, I like the energy. However misguided it is, I like the energy. I just wish that, we would put that energy towards something a little more productive.
And not for nothing. All the stuff that you mentioned, you already got the boycott going. All you got to do is expand your list, to be quite honest. You know what I mean? It's really all those things you could put on your list of demands, And
I tell you what, if that's what I started hearing from people, they'd have my support 150%. But I'm not jumping into this support of this boycott for the reasons, because it's all muddled. People don't even understand what it's about. They're saying, black men are getting killed, so NFL needs to be boycotted. Nah, it has nothing to do with that. This man right here, he doesn't have a job, and you don't know why. You don't know why. You are not within the inner workings of any of these NFL teams, and you do not understand what it takes to put together a championship team. It's hard enough. Distractions are not anything that any team wants. We're talking about millions of dollars. NFL grosses $15 billion a year. $15 billion a year. You mean to tell me you think that these people are not really paying attention to make sure that their brand and their team is is running like the most well-oiled machine out there? Any little distraction could go ahead and disrupt that chemistry. I like the energy. I mean, I like the energy. I just think it's a little misguided. It's being put into a situation where I don't think that it's going to do it any justice. I did give an example, though, of something that I would support, a boycott I would support with regard to the NFL specifically. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that we could do boycotts for. It's a whole bunch of stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I think that you guys just need to focus, man. Just kind of focus and do your research, analyze the situation. Do not just jump on to sound bites and visuals without doing some independent research, man. It's just crazy. But again, I love the energy. And don't take any of this stuff that I'm saying here personal. You know, I just want to see us do a lot better. That's all. And if we're going to go ahead and come together for a cause, let's just make sure we all understand what the cause is about. I'm your host, G. Cleve. Got my man D. And it's the Reality Gurus, man. Take care next time.